everyone. I'm Jess, the voice and face, TheRealCamFam on Twitch.
And I'm Justin, the off-screen voice you hear on Twitch, and this is the CamFam Campaign.
We talk about everything geeky, nerdy, and we can go on and on for hours about it.
We're just going to expand on everything we talk about each week, pretty much all week long on our streams.
Exactly. We talked last week about Illidan. We've talked briefly even before that about alignment and within fantasy realm, good
evil,
versus
and the
evil.
ambiguity in there.
We've mentioned our love for Doctor Who in our first episode.
Really? You wouldn't think.
You wouldn't think. No.
You wouldn't
really?
think that this is something that we do. Well, I don't even normally wear graphic tees, but we have them. By gosh, we have some Doctor Who t-shirts, signage,
all over
gimmicks,
our house.
props, toys. So it's a big part, I would dare say. A big part of our life.
We even have tattoos.
Right here.
What does the tattoo say?
We are all just stories in the end. Just make it a good one.
And that's what we do.
So
we love stories.
We're trying to make you a good story right now.
Talking to you about stories.
But is Doctor Who good or evil?
Spoilers. There's a lot of spoilers.
There will be some if you haven't seen it. 20-year-old, but
if you have not watched in the 60 years that it has been out, there are some spoilers that we'll probably end up mentioning. We'll try to kind of glaze over and just give basic summary of the episodes.
And we're only talking about the ones from the last 20 or so years.
Exactly.
You know? So that's really it. The older stuff, we've watched plenty. Not all, certainly, but we've watched plenty. A good feel. I even have my old favorite classic Doctor. I love John Pertwee.
And we also have,
we have Tom Baker's scarf that your mom nicely.
My mom made for us.
Knitted that for us. It's a big part, and it plays a big part in our life and our own morality. Mm-hmm. But is that morality good or evil? That's what we keep asking these week after week. Was Illidan good or evil? Is this guy good or evil? Is good evil? Vice versa.
Is it subjective?
And it's always subjective.
Does it fall within
There's no objective
alignment chart that we see very commonly within D&D? Mm-hmm. Chaotic, lawful.
I think if anything, the Doctor's absolutely chaotic good, except
when he needs to cross that line.
But also, at the same time, we weren't really getting into this, but it is an important note. The Doctor, I would say, is lawful.
Yes.
Not chaotic. He is lawful. And why? Because, and it's maybe a good character study into the idea of the alignment chart that, the Doctor is chaotic, but not his alignment.
Exactly.
His alignment is always lawful. And many might ask, well, so he doesn't break the law. Oh, he absolutely breaks laws. But that's not what lawful means in this context. Lawful means he has a code.
Exactly.
That's an important thing to do. The Doctor has a code that he will follow.
He mentions that all the time.
Yep. He has rules. He has very strict rules.
And it was
because he has to constrain himself.
It's the 12th Doctor who even says the famous quote,
a good men have no need for rules. Today is not the day to discover why I have so many.
Exactly.
And because that is important. Good men have no need for good laws are not there for good men.
Exactly.
They're there for evil and bad men. So let's dive right in, because not all of these are we have a few examples right here, but they're not all good and they're not all evil. It's just to show you the ambiguity in his choices.
So the first one that we discussed was one that kind of brings in Nine's return to humanity. Nine had just come off of basically destroying all the Daleks, all of his people.
Yeah, he's retconned into being John Hurt previously.
Time War.
As the 8th Doctor, the War Doctor.
Yeah. He basically was in the Time War. He chose then to destroy all of them.
Everyone.
So
all participants.
He thought.
But that's retconned later. At this moment, he has done this thing.
Exactly.
In his mind, he has done this.
Within doing so, he's kind of lost a bit of his humanity.
But he's trying to find it.
He's basically lost a bit of direction of who he once was, who he really strove to be.
Yeah.
Strove a word?
Yeah. I mean, if genetical is, strove is a word. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's, I think, a return to him trying to find himself.
So
alone.
In the first episode we chose was Father's Day. He had asked Rose, where do you want to go? What do you want to see? what do you want to do?
Yep. She wants to go back a whole 20 years.
She wants to meet her father, but she chose the day her father died.
Yeah.
And in doing so, set a path of
They
events.
say a paradox, but it's
she
not.
She set off a chain of events within that day that would go on.
Yeah.
You know,
she said about a time crisis,
exactly.
but it wasn't. They say she started a paradox. She didn't. That's not a paradox. We will get into paradoxes. I'm excited for that one in the future. Our episode that we'll have on paradoxes, but in this case, it's not a paradox.
Yeah.
This isn't a paradox. A paradox was when she held herself.
Exactly.
That's a paradox. But the saving her father was not a paradox yet. That is a time crisis.
Exactly.
Distinct thing. Very important. So,
but okay, so then remember that for when we come to our second one with 10.
Okay.
So she saves her father, sets off this chain of events, and within doing so, 9 gets mad. And this is where you can see Christopher Eccleston's, like, he's not mad, but he's just like, he's
disappointed.
Upset. He's disappointed because
I thought you were better. I thought you wouldn't have done this.
And there's the very famous line that you hear through a lot of them. He refers to us as apes.
Because we are to him. We're
exactly.
We're primates.
All
we're no different.
The doctors have their way of saying we're all apes. We're all just...
The doctor...
We're still learning. We're still children
for his
to them.
giant heart and his mercy that he shows...
He's 900 plus years old.
We're children.
Still children. We're still learning. Our humanity is not the level of which his is in advancements.
Now, I will agree with you that she is, or the doctor is finding himself in this episode, and he's reigniting that humanity. But that's not where it comes alive.
No.
It comes alive in your other one. You chose this other one, and it's a very important choice.
The Empty Child, which is based in World War II, is where we also meet Captain Jack Harkness. Captain Jack. Captain Jack is there because he's a time agent. He gets to travel because he has a...
Yeah, his vortex.
Vortex manipulator
manipulator
on his wrist. He gets
we used to have one of them, too. Amy had it.
It's upstairs.
Yeah.
You
think with Captain Jack being in this one, our ratings are about to go up?
Well, Captain Jack is there in World War II, not just because of the soldiers, but because he's traveled...
He's a pirate, essentially.
He's
a scavenger, a scrapper, a con man. He's just trying to make a buck.
He found a piece of alien technology that had basically landed where it wasn't supposed to.
He thought it was some, like, weapons ship.
And it was actually an ambulance filled with nanobots, which are hive mind. We'll get into hive minds.
That's another one.
In another episode.
Yeah.
Which we're
all
excited
this geeky
about.
stuff. Every episode we record, we find 3 or 4 more subjects we need to dive into. We're kind of creating an infinite engine of topics to talk about. Sorry, guys, we're going to be bothering you guys for years to come.
Yes. But within that one, there is a little boy who was killed during the landing.
Yeah.
The nanobots escape and they heal the boy the best they can. But because this little boy was wearing a face mask, a gas mask, which was popular back then, if you know anything about World War II.
They were on their way to the shelter at that moment.
And they heal him the best they can.
They graft that mask.
They graft the mask to his face. So
mummy?
Whenever anybody then dies within the proximity of the little boy, they end up getting that mask.
That same mask. Yeah, they end up healing them the same way because he is the model blueprint for a human in this context.
Exactly.
Yep.
So basically it turns everybody into this hive of gas mask wearing
Are you my mummies? Children that are scared to have lost their mom.
Exactly. So at the end of the episode, we see the biggest change of 9 and his humanity coming back in. Everybody lives.
All he has to do is reteach the nanobots what a human is actually supposed to be.
Exactly.
And then sends them at him. And they heal them all because there was nothing wrong with these people.
Yeah.
Other than what these nanobots did innocently.
Except
they didn't know.
There is one thing. One lady comes over to the doctor and says, sir, at the beginning of this war, I was missing a leg. I seem to have grown it back.
And I do love the doctor's response. Well, there is a war going on. Are you sure you didn't miscount?
Exactly.
That is a great line. But I will agree. The level of delight and joy he shows in that moment really highlights he's back. The doctor is back. He's gonna find joy in this and celebrate the little wins.
Exactly.
And this wasn't a little win, but to him, this was his first day in a long time that everybody got to live.
Exactly.
No one had to die for what happened. So what other times do we see?
I mean, he shows and teaches Rose so much through the years that year or time that they were together, that they come upon Station 19.
Yeah.
And they find out that the Daleks that she had, recently saved, and they recently found out were still actually alive.
But not only are they alive,
thriving.
Yeah, they're orchestrating humanity's trajectory.
Exactly.
From beyond the shadows, essentially.
Exactly. He tries to save her, which in himself, that is a good act. She can't do this. Mm-mm. She cannot let this happen. Yep. She pulls on the TARDIS and ends up opening up the core of the TARDIS and absorbing it.
Yeah, he saves her in a way. We missed that point. He sends her back. He has a protocol in the TARDIS to send his companion back home safely and then shut down, go dormant. It cannot reactivate without that key. She does not have a key.
No, she never got a key.
But she ended up having to, and they make a very big point, she had to look into the heart of the TARDIS, and it looked back into hers.
Yep.
And it went into her face. she absorbed the essence of this star of eternity.
Yeah.
And essentially became the TARDIS. So she becomes filled with the time energy from the time vortex.
So she comes back, defeats all the Daleks. So we think.
I was going to say, gentle word though that you use, defeats. She scatters them to dust. That
so
she knows of all of that she knows. All the present ones, there, including their emperor at the time, are just. She even says, "I scatter you to dust." Like they're gone. They are just erased from existence, essentially. Not even killed, just gone. She Thanos snaps them. Basically. Before Thanos snapped, she essentially just turns them all to dust. They never existed to begin with.
So let's go into 10.
Yes. Very intense.
It was because of this episode with Bad Wolf and her breathing in the TARDIS essence, basically, that we end up with 10.
Yeah, because he had to save. He had to take it. Only he can take it in.
He had to take it in and basically to save her. Mm-hmm. And that in itself questions how she did not become like Donna did years down the road.
Yeah.
That is
because she at least remembered. She knows she did it.
Exactly.
He didn't take the memories from her.
Exactly.
Like he did from Donna.
Exactly.
But the difference is Donna absorbs, we'll get into that, we'll expand on that in a minute. Donna absorbs though his regeneration energy. Rose takes in the TARDIS's, the actual core's energy.
Yeah.
That star
exactly.
that is suspended there.
So the first episode that really popped out to us that puts the massive question of morality into 10 was the Family of Blood. This is with Martha.
Yep.
That companion. And Doctor Who for 10 had the most companions.
Absolutely. But companions kind of irrelevant here. It's about the Fob Watch and this Family of Blood.
Exactly.
Yes, Martha's there. She's supposed to be keeping him centered, knowing what his goal is.
Keeping an eye on him.
Really, it's about and the companions are always his heart.
Yep.
Heck, 12 says that later. We're not going to get much into 12 because we could go on forever, but he even says Clara is his carer. She cares so he doesn't have to because he cannot be bothered to think of every little human emotion all the time.
Exactly.
So she kind of reminds him when it's important to be human again. And in the Family of Blood, though, we see unimaginable mercy, but also cruelty.
Yes. What he could have done is he could have killed them. He could have just
Simple.
said, fine, you're after this particular
You've
thing. You're
done
after
wrong.
my watch. You're after my essence. You're after who I am.
It would have been self-defense. Totally defendable.
And yet, what is his one thing he says he hates? And he's mentioned it through multiple episodes, multiple seasons, multiple iterations of the Doctor, is he hates guns.
Yeah, he won't use guns.
He hates violence.
Instruments of violence and murder, you know.
But, so he would never actually hurt physically anybody other than probably a punch or two to the face.
Arguable, like individual murders, no. But he has wiped out entire battalions of things. He has
True.
wiped out entire civilizations with the push of buttons.
True.
But yes, he does not like to resort to primitive murder.
Exactly. So, with the family of blood, they're after this particular item that basically holds everything that the Doctor is.
And if they get it, they become
basically another version
evil versions of
themselves.
Yeah.
So what he does is, and the son says in the last quote, is he showed them mercy
By running.
by running.
He was trying to save them, not himself.
But instead he traps the daughter in a mirror.
Every mirror.
He traps the son and suspends him in time as a scarecrow to watch over the fields of London.
Yep.
The mom is dropped into an event horizon of a collapsing galaxy. And the father is thrown into unbreakable chains that were forged in a dwarf star.
And then just dropped into space.
Exactly.
And that's it. They'll live forever. And that's the gift he gave them. They will live forever, but in torment and in silence and in impotence. They can't do anything now. They can't hurt anybody.
So, another one that actually came to mind looking back at our notes, and there's one name that we keep forgetting to mention, is Harriet Jones.
Yeah.
We met her in Aliens of London.
Wait, the MP for Flight North?
Yes.
Yes, we know who you are.
Well, it was actually the main alien that was left alive there.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Doctor had the opportunity to wipe out that entire Slitheen
The Rex
line.
Calicophallipatorians.
Exactly.
Yeah, uh-huh.
You want to say that clearer again?
Well, they're from Rex Calicophallipatorius.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
He had the opportunity during
Could've
Aliens
just,
of London
taken 'em
to take them out. He never killed them.
no,
He never touched them.
because most of the time he views them as innocent. They're just trying to survive. Most of these things are just trying to find a means to survive.
Exactly.
He offers many of them, hey, I know a planet where you can go and
Exactly.
you can live in peace.
So what happens is he actually, the female that was still alive, the female Slitheen that was still alive, he actually finds her again in not Wales, but where Torchwood ends up being.
Oh, yeah, Cardiff.
He finds her there, and instead of punishing her and, hurting her, somehow reverts her back into an egg. And that in itself is a humane thing, because he ends up putting her with a family. A loving family that teaches her how to grow to be a better Slitheen than her family that she actually ends up being.
A better Rex Calicophallipatorian.
Exactly.
Slitheen was the family name.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's an inside joke because they do constantly misrefer to them as a species called the Slitheen.
Exactly.
But then they have to correct it. So.
But I had to come back to that because as I was thinking about this, I was like,
that's a great act of mercy.
Exactly.
That is absolutely. But also to somebody who, say, an adult or lived a couple hundred years, that may be seen as unimaginable cruelty. That they've undid everything. They've erased their legacy. But that could be good. It is still
another chance.
Well, and that's why we're talking about ambiguity. It's not up to me or you to say whether it's evil. It's a subjective thing. We can, in our own mind, know what we think it is, but that doesn't have any bearing on what it is. And so he has to punish this family. And then, in this case of the Rex Calicophallipatorian, he saves one, but he also saves others that he shouldn't.
Exactly.
Or, you could argue, shouldn't. He rescues a family during the fires of Pompeii.
Exactly. The fires of Pompeii is where we are introduced to Peter Capaldi himself.
And Karen Gillan.
And Karen Gillan is also in there. She later goes on to play Amy.
Yep. Miss Amy Pond.
In Fires of Pompeii, there's like a massive alien living in the volcano under Pompeii.
Mm-hmm.
He's feeding into these wannabe mystics.
Yep.
They're basically absorbing his vapors and
Amy's one of them.
giving off prolific visions.
Prophetic visions. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And saying, this is going to happen. But, it's basically feeding them. And the doctor, I think, is probably, in a way, responsible for the flames of the Pompeii exploding. In this episode.
Kind of. Yeah. And I mean, they do write it off. They kind of retcon an entire eruption in Pompeii to have been caused by aliens. That it was because of this. It wasn't a natural thing.
Wasn't because of
that's why.
Or...
And I think they use that as the tool to justify why it's okay for him to save at least one family.
Exactly.
But if you think about the ramifications, which we don't ever talk about that. But that Peter Capaldi now, his family goes on to live and breed and carry on and have progeny for generations that we can assume. Meaning, in modern times, there could be survivors that would not have existed before.
Exactly.
Who can trace their family back to Pompeii?
Exactly.
Come on.
We've talked about how Doctor Who has a butterfly effect. You're not supposed to have a butterfly effect. You're not supposed to have a lasting result on civilization.
And he points out that most of the time you don't.
We have Dickens. Mm-hmm. Dickens ends up writing about him. We have Van Gogh, who ends up drawing him. Works him into his paintings. And later even has a catastrophic episode where he draws an exploding TARDIS.
Sure.
We have
Which we have hanging upstairs.
Yes, we do. We have Shakespeare, who ends up writing about him.
Yep, definitely.
There are some people who still tie Doctor Who into their work to try to explain him away.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was also a bystander and a witness to the JFK assassination.
Exactly.
Which is not funny in that context, but given that Doctor Who premiered the day JFK was assassinated, it's kind of funny that later on when they show that he had existed through all these times, and here's this through line of the Doctor.
And that was in the first episode for Rose.
Yeah, and they show Chris Eccleston having been there standing on the road when Kennedy shot. They also show
Chris Eccleston on the Titanic.
Mm-hmm. Which was David Tennant, who went on the Titanic too.
Exactly. So there's a lot of jokes there.
So Fires of Pompeii, he saves a family. And then
but there's no lasting.
There's no butterfly effect we see from that.
Exactly.
But then in Stolen Earth, one that you wanted to definitely dive into, mostly because here's all the companions so far returning.
And the return of the Daleks.
To a degree, they've already been back a few times. But
they came back with the one where 10 lost Rose because of Pete Tyler's being able to jump back and forth
but there's also
universes.
9 when the dude has the museum and she touches one and gives it human DNA.
Yeah, and then when she reminds them, look, you know who I am.
Yeah.
Basically, when they came and kidnapped her.
So it's definitely not the revival, but it's definitely the reemergence of them as a main force. Like, you learn they were never extinct to begin with.
I mean, and this also reminded me, the Lost Moon of Poosh. Mm-hmm. They talk about that, and when Dr. Donna comes in, and she's like, and Lost Moon of Poosh, and throws it back to where it was, there was like, okay, I remember a couple episodes
they were giving us hints that all these planets and moons kept getting missing. And
so what happened during these 2 episodes between the Stolen Earth and Journey's End is you see all the companions come in. They're basically pulled in by the Daleks as kind of a not a bounty, but like kind of a trap to get him back. The Doctor in.
Because that's what they want, because they cannot do anything until they just get rid of him.
Exactly.
That's all they got to do.
But there is meta crisis because of when 10 came in, his arm was cut off during a fight.
Yep.
A sword fight. Mm-hmm. And it got found, and Jack put it into
It was found by Unit.
A big tumbler.
Torchwood found it.
Kind of thing.
Yeah,
glass container.
Big glass, I would say cryo tank, but it wasn't frozen. It was like a suspended animation.
Yeah, and you could see the regeneration thing.
It was still going on.
So somehow along the lines, they're like, let's destroy the TARDIS. They throw it into a fire pit. Donna reaches towards that hand. The hand regenerates,
you see her eyes
she
open
regenerates at the same time. And there's a big, what we call a meta crisis. There was happens.
2 of them, because now we've created a second Doctor.
Yep.
1 heart. And then we've created a human who now has a Time Lord's essence in her
Exactly.
brain.
And that also harkens back to Bad Wolf, where there is so much that happened there with the TARDIS becoming into Rose. And I said, well, she remembers in
She remembers, but it was
way.
doing the same thing to her brain that it was doing to Donna. It was burning it up.
Yeah.
It was frying it.
He saved her.
Yeah, he was able to pull it back
But
out of her.
unfortunately, they weren't able to save Donna in the exact same way.
They were able to extract it, but with all the memories.
Hurting
too.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She couldn't even remember the Doctor for a moment, or else.
So, within that one, I do not 100% recall what happened to the Daleks, but I know that their plan was foiled.
Well, I remember she flipped all the levers and they went spinning. And
I know that some of them died.
Mm-hmm. Most of them just started exploding because she did a feedback loop and, basically refed back their energy through them, the delta waves back through them. And
she returned all the planets back to where they belong.
With really cool flipping of switches and levers, too. There's a lot of levers
shortly
in this
after
episode.
that the Doctor ended up regenerating.
Because he had to take that essence back in.
And he held it off as long as he possibly could. He traveled a couple more episodes. You see a couple more companions enter. But he's done. He's done. He says his farewells, basically.
He never even got to take her to Barcelona. Like that's sad.
The planet Barcelona.
Yeah, not the country, the planet. But then we get the 11th hour. That's what's 11. Maddie Smith, come on.
Your favorite Doctor.
It is hands down.
Our quote.
Hands down, my favorite Doctor. And I say hands down. It's a close second with Matt, with David being behind Matt, but Matt has always edged out just a little bit for me, just because of that whimsy and that intensity he brings, and that intensity is the exact reason I love it. And I love it almost as much as Janky. But the Atraxi is a throwaway adversarial race that kind of comes in. We don't see them much again. They're just like, I think they were an old race from the Classic Who that makes an appearance once or twice, but here they come back. They're about to take over Earth, and all he has to do is reference his past acts. That's how much he's done. He doesn't even have to do anything to them. At this point, he's just riding on his own reputation, and he's like, no, look at your database. I'm sure you've heard of me. Let's see what you see. A lot
of the Doctors end up doing is just being like, look, know who I am.
Yeah, you know who I am. Look at what I've done. And then they run. And he even says those words, basically, run. Because he's done unimaginably horrible things. Maybe for the right reason. I'm not saying they were wrong. They were cruel, though. And there's many times, like I said, one we didn't put on here, and it harkens to the one you brought up because we were talking about it, and you can find it, hopefully at the end of this episode, we can find it and get it there. The Demons Run poem.
Yep.
Demons run when a good man goes to war. He shows that over and over. When one of the most intense moments we see is when that child is lost. And you got Rory facing down them Cybermen, an entire legion. They got guns pointed at him. He's about to die. He's just a lone Roman centurion, 2,000 years old now.
Yeah, and that
supposedly
the whole paradox.
Yeah, it's a whole paradox, and we'll get into that in our episode on paradoxes. Might be a multi-parter there. Who knows? We might even do the second one first, just to kind of. But that being said, when that happens and Rory's standing there, if you'll recall, he says he has a message from the Doctor and a question from him. And he says, and they say, what is, he goes, where's my wife? Amy, where is she? And then they say, what is the message from the Doctor? And what do we see outside that window? Every ship explodes. He kills the entire legion of them. Now, in his defense, they're not human beings at this point. They had been, but they had already been dead and turned into robots, essentially.
They were the Cybermen.
He takes them out in a moment. He wipes out thousands, if not millions of them. And then he says, should I repeat the question? Like, it's one of the most intense moments in that series, because it shows, one, he will go to the ends of the earth.
Yeah.
And the Doctor will do anything to protect Earth and his companions, including mass murder. Once again, is it okay? These are bad people, but it's still murder.
Exactly.
Lastly comes the beast below. Amy in her nightie running around the ship in London, the floating ship of London on a star whale. This star whale is being tortured. Sadly.
It volunteered itself.
But it's not. The torturing is it is zapping its cerebellum, basically, and taking away its pain centers so that it can't hurt from what it's doing. But it wanted to do this.
Yeah.
It was the last star whale in existence, and it wanted to save these people who were floating lost in space. They attach to its back, and it basically keeps them alive, floating them through space. But every 10 years, I think it was, the denizens, the citizens, had to watch a video on what they had to do. And then they had to choose.
It's the video itself
that explains it all.
Explains the good and evil of humanity. And I think it's probably the basis of our discussion.
It really is. And honestly, I think it's the first one we brought up is look at the star whale. What happens? I didn't even remember the episode name at that time. I just said the star whale because it talks about they had to torture, essentially, this innocent creature. This magnificent, beautiful, only one in existence that they know.
To torture.
When it was doing it on its own. It wanted to save them. But humans as a whole had to know what they were doing, which I can respect their process in this. That their citizens needed to know what they had to do to survive.
There was something within the beast that was like it was almost a parasite. It was like almost a parasite that was on it that was basically feeding on the bad.
Yeah, exactly. And but here's the thing: if any citizen of London chose, they could end it all. They would just go back.
That's what they thought.
They would hit the button. It would end it. That's what they were told. It would end it, and the star whale would go back to being free. Or no, it would kill it instantly so that it would no longer suffer. But then they would go to. Or they forget everything they know, and they just toe the line, keep the status quo. And in all the years, everyone chose to ignore it and just hit forget. Everyone. Until that one didn't, and then come to find out they didn't need to. Like you said, they didn't need to the whole time. It was there. It loved them. It wanted to save them. But we tortured it. These are fictional people. I'm just saying we as humans, in this essence, felt the need to torture this thing to save us.
That particular one questions his humanity.
It does. But why does he interfere?
Because a child is crying.
Exactly. A child is crying is why he interferes, and Amy calls him out on that hypocrisy right away. He broke what we understand to be a prime directive over and over because he loved humanity.
Exactly.
So much. And he loved innocent life, but there were times that other lives were snuffed out for a different one. Maybe it was the last resort, but he still did do it. And that's why it's ambiguous. I am not here making the claim that the Doctor is evil. No. All I'm saying is the Doctor has done things that you could make the argument are evil.
Exactly.
That's all. I'm not saying so is Illidan.
Let us know in the comments what you think about any of the episodes.
Some other episodes too. If you got some, there are plenty. There are plenty. Tell us your favorites.
That we might have missed out on. Discuss what you think could have been a questionable humanity outlier for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
That made him either good or evil within, and it can be any of the Doctors, any of them. And there's 14 now?
Yeah, 14, 15 if you count Rose. Is being hinted as being the next one. Spoiler again. But they also then did say that they're basically done for now. So that is sad. They finally tell us Rose is the next Doctor. Or Billy Piper would be the next Doctor. And then they take it away from us.
Well, I don't think they're taking away. I think it's like up in the air of who's going to take over filming.
In short, we're on a hiatus.
Until
We may never get any.
Further notice.
But we've been there before. And, you know, it's funny, as I was coming down and we were preparing for our episode today, I'm carrying your cup, which if you turn around says 90s kid. And if there's one period of time that Doctor Who is not, it's the 90s. There's a very little 1993. There was a motion picture, things like that. But it's very outside the 90s. Everything else, it picked back up in 2000s.
Right?
McGannis was, like 1993. Kind of a throwaway. We forget about that. The Day of the Doctor, Night of the Doctor, that kind of time period. But you know, and we weren't watching it back then. I couldn't even have told you who Doctor Who was until our buddy, our Geek of the Week, Max Brooks.
He's
our
not
old buddy.
famous. He's not.
Yeah, you don't know him.
He's just a person who turned us on to something that became an addiction for us.
And he unfortunately met his end a number of years back, sadly. You know, so we miss you, Max. Thank you for getting us into this. And this one's for you. So our Geek of the Week, Max, thanks. And
bye, guys.
Bye.